Good morning to one and all. Respected principal, esteemed speaker, distinguished faculty members, and dear colleagues, it is a privilege to welcome you all to the Miss Shanti Manuel Institutional Leadership Lecture Series 2. I extend a warm and respectful welcome to all the participants present, both online and offline, for this lecture. This lecture series has been instituted in the memory of Ms. Shanti Manuel, former principal of Lady Doak College, who led the institution with distinction from 1967 to 1993. A faculty member of the Department of Social Sciences and a dedicated teacher of psychology, she exemplified a rare balance between academic commitment and institutional leadership. Leadership for her was never about position alone. It was about nurturing people, strengthening departments, and shaping futures. Miss Manuel was the one who initiated Dr. Elizabeth George Endowment Lecture. Initiated in the previous academic year, this lecture series seeks to create a sustained academic platform for reflection and dialogue on leadership and governance in higher education. Today, as we host the second lecture in the series, we continue that vision with gratitude and purpose. Let us begin this solemn and significant program by seeking divine blessings. Let us all rise up for prayer.
In His time, He makes all things beautiful. In His time, Lord, please show me every day as You're teaching me Your way, that we do just what You say. In Your time, in Your time, in Your time, You make all things beautiful. In Your time, Lord, my life to You I bring. May its song I have to sing be to You a lovely thing. In Your time, in Your time, in Your time.
A reading from the Holy Bible, Mark chapter 10, verses 42 to 46. Jesus called them together and said, "You know that those who are regarded as rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be a slave of all. For even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to his life as a ransom for many." Let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank You for bringing us today on this day and for the opportunity to gather in learning and reflection. As we begin this program, we seek Your wisdom, guidance, and presence among us. Grant us clarity in our thoughts, attentiveness in our listening, and openness in our understanding. Lord, as Your word reminds us that true greatness lies in service, help us to lead with humility, integrity, and compassion in all our responsibilities. May we be guided not by authority alone, but by a spirit of service, responsibility, and care for the community we serve. Bless the speaker, Dr. Mercy Pushpalata, who will share her insights today, and grant her wisdom and grace as she addresses us. Bless all the faculty gathered here, that we may continue to serve with dedication and commitment to excellence in our professional roles. May this gathering be meaningful and enriching, fostering and renewing purpose in our work as educators and leaders. We commit this program into Thy precious hands. May all that is said and done today be purposeful, fruitful, and for the greater good of our college community. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen. Please be seated. Every academic gathering begins with a warm welcome that brings the community together. I now invite Dr. Joyce Georgina John, Head and Assistant Professor, to deliver the welcome address and extend her greetings to the distinguished gathering. I request the dignitaries to occupy the dais.
Welcome to everyone gathered here. I'd just like to start with something that we took off on the prayer. Leadership begins with service and our servant leader whom we follow, Jesus. So that is a thought that I'd like all of us to take along with us as we go along. We start with service and then move on to the leadership position following our master. Very, very warm welcome to all of us gathered here. Our resource person, Mercy ma'am, welcome to this gathering, and we are looking forward to the insightful sharing on being institutional leaders. So welcome, ma'am, to this gathering. Our principal, Beulah ma'am, for constantly supporting us. In the last minute, all the hiccups and everything, ma'am always stands by us, and really appreciate that, ma'am, as training us to be good leaders. So thank you, ma'am. And we welcome you for this session. Our chaplain, ma'am. Always we have the prayer by chaplain, ma'am. Today was a different scenario. Welcome, ma'am, to our session. Our dean, Priscilla, ma'am. Welcome to the session, ma'am. It's our pleasure to have you with us and for gracing this occasion. Our assistant CEOs, Priscilla, ma'am, and Esther, ma'am. Welcome to the session. Librarian, Nachar, ma'am. Formal faculty, Rupa ma'am, who's always had wonderful insights for us to grow and develop. So welcome you also, ma'am. And all our faculties from the various departments for coming here, taking time off. I'm looking forward to you having a fruitful session in growing as leaders. And also to all my faculty friends from the department, welcome to the session. Have a blessed day and God bless.
Thank you, ma'am, for your gracious and heartfelt welcome that beautifully framed the significance of today's occasion. The legacy we honor today is inseparable from the institutional ethos of this college and its enduring commitment to academic excellence and value-based leadership. In this context, it's most appropriate to hear from the head of our institution who continues to guide its academic and administrative journey. I respectfully invite Dr. Beulah Jayashree, Principal and Secretary, Lady Doak College, to share her introductory remarks.
Good morning to all who have gathered here. Respected dignitary Dr. Mercy ma'am, my principal, former principal of our college, esteemed colleagues, distinguished guests, dear students, and a special word of welcome to Dr. Rupa also. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all to Ms. Shanti Manuel Endowment Leadership Lecture Series 2, organized by the Department of Social Sciences. Today's gathering is a celebration of scholarship, leadership, and vision, values that lie at the very heart of the department mission. When I was reading this, preparing this, I was thinking, I think Ms. Shanti Manuel should be celebrated by the whole college, not just by the Social Sciences Department, I think so. So last time, I don't know whether it was leadership or Ms. Shanti Manuel endowed lecture, I was talking to you about how, because of Ms. Shanti Manuel, that I am here as a principal, first as a professor even. Today, I just thought her own student, Dr. Mercy, will be bringing in a lot of leadership qualities which she must have taken from her, integrated with her own style of leadership, and she must be presenting it to us all. I was just reminded of one saying which I did not experience myself because I was only a student of Ms. Manuel and never a staff under her. I've heard that whenever she used to talk about certain changes that she brings in the faculty meeting, definitely there were teachers who raised objections to it also, I believe. And what as a mastermind she used to do is, she will pick those people who get up and talk against it as committee members of that very same scheme that she is bringing in. You know why? Because it is only those people who can think that it brings wrong side of it will also know the positive side of it. And when they know the wrong side of it, it will be easy for them to get over it also. They will try to overcome those inhibitions, those negative things, and they will be able to do it. And at the end of the day, those people will be supporting the very same scheme they were objecting to it. No, this is what I was told about Ms. Manuel's leadership earlier. Now we have a privileged, distinguished guest speaker. I should not say guest speaker, speaker. Yeah, she's not a guest. She's our own Dr. Mercy Pushpalatha ma'am, former principal. And her illustrious career in higher education and her commitment to empowering young minds exemplify the very essence of leadership. Her presence here today is a source of inspiration, reminding us that true leadership is not only about guiding institutions, but also about nurturing individuals to realize their fullest potential. I used to wonder, ma'amla retire ஆயிட்டு ஏன் வீட்டில் சும்மா உட்காராம இப்படி இருக்கிறாங்க?
Was born in the month of Advent before Christmas on 22nd December 1934 in Tiruchirappalli to Canon Ratnam Asirvadam Manuel and Mrs. Jnanadeepam Manuel. She was from a traditional Christian family that firmly believed in faith and humanity. She was raised in Calcutta, and as a young girl who witnessed the heat of communal clashes, she made a decision to look beyond the boundaries of caste, creed, and religion throughout her life. She joined Lady Doak College for her intermediate class in the year 1950 and was a prudent student highly regarded by Miss Katie Wilcox. She joined Madras Christian College for her Masters in Psychology in 1953. Miss Manuel completed her diploma in German from University of Madras in 1961 and received her graduate degree from Bryn Mawr College, Pennsylvania, USA as a Danforth Indian Fellow in 1962. Miss Manuel joined Lady Doak College as a lecturer and further worked as a faculty of psychology in Chennai and Lucknow for a few years. She received an offer from Miss Wilcox to join Lady Doak College as the principal, and the letter read, "Dear Shanti, from the day I admitted you, something told me that you should lead this college." She could not deny this visionary call of Miss Wilcox, and she took charge as the principal, succeeding Dr. Margaret Clapp in the year 1967 at a young age of 32. She served as the principal of Lady Doak College for 26 long years and joined as a member of the board of directors of Madras Christian College after her retirement in 1993. Miss Manuel's commitment to lead the institution to excellence was evident in her academic novelty, administrative capabilities, people management, and leadership skills during her tenure as principal. It was during her tenure the college was granted autonomy status, and the college introduced a semester system, affiliation, and many UG and PG courses. Leadership is influencing, and Miss Manuel was influential in taking risks, sharing her wisdom, having a big picture in mind, and building the brand identity for the institution. She was the one who sowed the seeds of computer education in Lady Doak College. She touched people's lives and treated everyone with courtesy. Her warmth and respect was the same towards everyone irrespective of their positions. She remembered everyone by their names and their voice. Miss Manuel is always remembered as the principal who is not so tall in stature but an epitome of humility and grit. Her colleagues remember her as a humble woman clothed in a cotton sari with ruffled pleats, a short bun, her iconic glasses, and her hand filled with books. She is great in networking both in the yesteryears and in the recent past. She believed in inclusion and in diversity. Those who knew her personally can never forget her. She actively participated in every event of the college during her tenure and never missed any opportunity to connect with the college after her retirement. During her speech at the Platinum Jubilee Triune celebration in 2018, Miss Manuel shared that the values she learnt from the founder and her predecessors helped her in administration, and the college stands on the shoulders of the giants. She remembered what Miss Wilcox asked her quite frequently. Are the students happy? Are the young staff happy? Is everyone at Lady Doak happy? Please see that all of them are happy. Miss Manuel kept her promise and she stood tall in promoting and sustaining the vision of Miss Wilcox. It got transferred to her successors who took the institution to new heights without compromising the vision and the values of the college. Miss Manuel was deeply moved by the verse in Micah 6:8, which reads, "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God." She firmly believed in this verse and it became her guiding principle till her last breath on 3rd October 2023. Every extra mile of Miss Manuel's walk became a milestone in Lady Doak College history. Her eternal footprints in sands of time are the pathways for future generations. The Department of Social Sciences is fortunate to have been guided by such an inspiring leader, and Lady Doak College is proud to perpetuate her values that transcends the temporal boundaries of individual lifespans.
That was truly a touching and inspiring glimpse into the life and leadership of Miss Manuel. With that inspiring context, we now move to the intellectual core of today's lecture series. To formally introduce our distinguished speaker, I invite Dr. Uma Maheshwari, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Sciences, to present the introduction of the speaker.
Good morning to all the dignitaries, dear administrators, friends, colleagues who are present here and online in virtual mode. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce our Honorable Resource Person for the Miss Shanti Manuel Endowment Lecture Series 2 on the theme Promoting Intergenerational Leadership. Today, we are blessed to have with us Dr. Mercy Pushpalata, an eminent educationalist in chemistry who has served at Lady Doak College, Madurai for over 3 decades. During her remarkable tenure, she has served 9 years as the principal and secretary of the institution, besides holding several administrative responsibilities prior to her term as the principal. Together, these efforts significantly strengthened academic governance and institutional vision and development. Dr. Mercy Pushpalata, widely respected for her intellectual fervor, clarity of thought, and her deep commitment to student, faculty, and institutional engagement. Though in fact, many of my colleague friends present here in this forum or in online have not had the opportunity to work under her directly, but we have consistently felt connected to her thoughts and actions as she has sat in this institution over years. She is known for her intellectual fervor, her deep scholarship, her commitment to mentor and guide students as appropriate to their skills and capacities, reaching out to personally to learners of any age, faculty, colleagues, and administrators, and her commitment to building institutions grounded in diversity, equity, and inclusivity, DEI, which is the current talk of all the institutions. She appears simple and calm in her approach, yet firm and persistent in her convictions, articulating them with more grace. She is outspoken in matters concerning academic standards and social responsibility, and she carries a strong visionary outlook that has guided not only her own institution, but many colleges across the state and even the nation. One of her landmark contributions has been institutionalizing service learning as Life Frontier Engagement, LFE, as a mandatory course for undergraduate students, final year students. This initiative stands as a powerful example of her belief in linking academics with community engagement, synergizing classroom learning with community development, and more appropriately, a true model of intergenerational leadership where knowledge meets social responsibility. She continues to contribute to the higher education as a freelance educational consultant, as a board member of the Madras Christian College Association, a member of the Academic Sounding Board of Universitati, a global network of Catholic higher education institutions, peer team member for NAC assessments. Yes, you may be excited to receive her lecture. All this beautifully reflects her strength in guiding and shaping quality benchmarks in higher education institutions across India. Dear friends, when we reflect on the theme promoting intergenerational leadership, Ma'am's journey becomes a living testimony. Intergenerational leadership is about transmitting values, vision, and responsibility from one generation to the next. Through her mentorship of students, training of faculty, institutional reforms, and community engagement initiatives, she has consciously and constantly built leadership pipelines that extend beyond her own tenure. And today is just one of the such example. Her work also reflects a spirit of stewardship, carrying responsibility for institutions, nurturing human potential, and safeguarding values so that the next generations and the future generations inherent stronger, more inclusive, and ethically grounded educational spaces. She has not merely administered institutions, she has stewarded them with foresight, integrity, and purpose. In her life and leadership, we see a seamless blending of scholarship, service, mentorship, and vision, the true essence of intergenerational leadership. With all great respect and admiration, now I invite Dr. Mercy Pushpalata to deliver the endowment lecture. Before that, now I invite Dr. Rupa Ravikumar to honor our dear guest with memento.
Thank you, ma'am, for the thoughtful introduction that has prepared us to receive the insights of our esteemed speaker. A lecture series on institutional leadership finds its true meaning when experience meets reflection and practice meets wisdom. It's my proud honor to invite Dr. Mercy Pushpalata, former principal, Lady Doe College, to deliver the keynote address. Ma'am, we are deeply honored by your presence and request you to kindly address the gathering.
Good morning, friends. I feel really emotional, coming back to this place and reliving those days with Miss Manuel. So I wish to thank the principal, Dr. Beulah, the head of the department, Dr. Joyce, and the colleagues who have extended this invitation to me to be the speaker of this day, the day when we want to really honor and relive a legendary leader like Miss Manuel. In fact, when the invitation was sent to me, seeing my picture with Miss Manuel's picture, that shook me. And this is the same feeling I had, like when I was appointed as the principal, when I had to sit on the chair, I was hesitant. I thought, in what way am I competent enough to sit on the chair where legendary leaders like her were sitting and governing this college? So I'm thankful to God for this opportunity, because this gave me, this topic and this experience gave me a time for learning more and reflecting more the days that we had studied when Miss Manuel was the principal and worked with Miss Manuel. She never used to use the term working under her. She treated us alike, how a junior you were. So that was the kind of the experience that we had. So I could really recall those pleasant memories. The memories really rejuvenated me, revived me in my spirit. And I wish to thank Dr. Beulah for her nice words of introducing me. I was thinking beyond that, why should I need another introduction on me? Anyway, Dr. Uma, thank you. You've spoken so much about me. Anyway, all that is one side. I'm basically a Dokian, okay? And this is a place next to my family God has used in my life to grow in life, to be as a woman of God today as I am because of this too. So I'm thankful to God for that. And when the colleagues, the friends from this department, when they called up and told me, like intergenerational leadership, I was thinking, Ms. Manuel has been a leader who was developing the leaders across the generations. So in fact, I was a student for 4 years, pre-university and undergraduate program, then served as 12 years with her as a colleague under different positions, and even as a staff secretary, I was with her. So she was developing intergenerational leaders. But when I looked into the literature, I understood this is leadership, intergenerational leadership. It's not intergenerational leaders alone. It's a technical term that how it has to be built in the system. And I could say, those days when Ms. Manuel was the principal, before 1993, no paper talked about, no research work talked about intergenerational leadership. But she practiced and adopted intergenerational leadership in this institution. And today, this is a need for higher education institutions too. Because when I was preparing this, all the literature seems to show this is a practice that they have recently started. I was even talking with some of our friends during the tea time. Only in 2025, maybe earliest will be 2023. Before that, no literature I could see. Maybe it's there, I don't know. But how come this system or this corporate culture, which has been widely advocated in the organizations, can it be extended to an educational institution, that to a higher educational institution? That was my basic question. Because I'm not a person from management discipline, so I wanted to actually find out the authenticity of it. And I could connect with one of the directors of a business school, a leading business school in Chennai, and I fixed up an appointment and I discussed with him, sir, what do you think? You know what he said? Madam, this is the way forward today. The institutions, whether it is organizations, or even if it is a classroom, a teacher, a leader, and even if it is a family, parent, a leader, or in a department, HOD, a leader. So like that, at every leadership levels, this has to be incorporated because, and there's a beautiful concept that they are bringing out, only then you will have sustainability of the culture. And today we are talking so much about the organizational culture. And you know, Lady Doak has its own special place in the higher education scenario of the nation because of its institutional culture, which was started, practiced, and permeated in the members of the institution through the legendary leader like Ms. Manuel. So how are we going to, what is it that we are going to see today under promoting institutional culture? Sorry. Okay. This is an era of outcomes, right? So outcome is not only for the course or the exam. Lady Doak talked about the outcome way back in 1981 when I joined, even before that, 78 onwards, when the college became autonomous. In 81, I joined as the faculty member. The first faculty orientation was on outcomes. Those days, it was a different term. It was called general objective, specific objective. Then slowly nomenclature changed as learning outcomes, and then course outcomes, like that. And that really ingrained in me, any activity if you take, there has to be an outcome. Otherwise, it becomes futile. Okay, that is why this college and my leader like Ms. Manuel has taught me anything if it needs to be productive. You need to have an outcome in mind. Only then you will be able to really work on the process correctly, right? Even if as a family you're planning for a family trip, think on what is going to be the outcome of this. Accordingly, you plan the trip. So anything. So that is how I put in here. This is the outcome. This is the outcome wherein we will try to understand and appreciate the characteristics of each generation, not to assess or not to being judgmental. Never like these students are like that, these colleagues are like that. Not for that. You understand it. And that's what Ms. Manuel did. I mean, I was a student, I was a junior-most colleague who, in her period when she appointed me in 1981, never she used to really judge us because of our age or so. It was like equals. And we were able to, she was able to understand and appreciate, so we need to learn that. Then, we will get convinced that only intergenerational leadership is the way forward in leading any organization. It is going to be. The traditional method is going to be changed. It is already on the change now in the business world or in the corporate world. We, the educational institutions, we need to adopt it. But Ms. Manuel adopted it decades back. So how are we going to? Then get right perception on how to create an environment for innovation and sustainability through intergenerational leadership, and evolve mechanisms on how intergenerational leadership can be applied at any level of leadership. That's what I mentioned earlier. In your family, in your classroom, in your department, or in an organization as such. So that is what we want to say today. Sorry. This is, that's right. This was a concept that was introduced to me by Ms. Manuel. The difference between leadership and management. Today, we can see lots of managers, but the leaders are different. And I'm sure you'll be able to understand from this picture too. And the leaders will ensure where we are going and why we are going. And that's what Ms. Manuel did. Whether in a faculty meeting or in a senators meeting or in a small group of discussion, like whenever any change was brought in. And you know, Lady Doak was always dynamic in its approach. So that dynamism was able to be incorporated because she was able to really pass on this vision of where as a team we are moving on to and why we need to move to. See, we need to be convinced. Only then we can move together as a team. But the managers will be bothered about whether things are done correctly, right? So the leadership, the difference between leadership and management. I remember when I was a student in 78, 79, that was my third year class, undergraduate period, and I was staying in Pandian hostel. That was the time Lady Doak brought in autonomy, 1978. The first 4 institutions in the whole of Madurai University wherein the autonomous status was conferred by the UGC. I don't know about the other institutions, but you know, Lady Doak had a very different kind of an academic program being introduced. I think Rupa might have been a student under autonomy. Yes. So by then autonomy has come in, but I was not a student of autonomy. I was under non-autonomous batch. But when I joined in Lady Doak College, it was autonomous status. You know, when the student gets admitted, she can make a choice of her major, but she will not go and sit in major class, right, Rupa? So a humanities student will do all humanities subjects, what's called core. You also might have done. Core subjects, core. So if it is a chemistry student, core maths, core physics, core chemistry, core botany, core zoology, everything. And if she wants, she can change in the second semester her own major. See? Nobody thought about it in India. Lady Doak had it. That was leadership. And you know, the whole humanities used to have integrated course in sciences. IBH, IBS. So all sciences, all humanities will have in sciences, all sciences will have in humanities. So some of us, we were quite junior. And it used to be in this room, gallery room, the whole batch of humanities will be there. And junior most teachers like us, we used to teach. And senior people like Miss Hannah used to be there at the back. I very well remember. One day I was teaching on pollution. Like, at that age, you would want to say what all you know, right? Because straight from the MSc program you are. My class notes will be with all small letters. Soon after the class, she took me aside. She said, Masi, நான் உன் கிளாஸ் கவனிச்சேன்ப்பா எல்லாம் சொன்னேன் ஏமா நான் நிறைய சொன்னேன். And she taught me how you need to come down to the level of the student and what she needs to know, not what you know she needs to know. I tell you, these were the leaders we had in Lady Do College. So that was a big innovation. And even in the third year level, it was PIP course, preparatory course for independent and group projects. I don't think any of the Tamil Nadu colleges had it at that time. So all this, the leader was able to incorporate. Imagine like a conservative city like Madurai, where the college had to go in for an autonomous status, where the marks and the future lies in the hands of the teachers. So this leader was able to really explain or convince why we are moving in this direction and how we need to move. And this is another picture that I always admire, and I can definitely say Ms. Manuel is on the top 5 leadership level. Pinnacle position of Ms. Manuel. And maybe the letters are not clear here. You can get into Google and you can see this. It talks about people follow this leader because of who this leader is and what that leader represents. Not because of position, not because of all that they do, not because of how they relate with you, nothing. Who they are. And today, I'm sure you all will agree with me, no doubt Ms. Manuel is in that position, right? We all know who she was. And she continues to speak even after she has left this world. That's because we respect her because of this level of leadership. And if you take a campus tour, none of the buildings, nowhere, no boards, no stones give her name. But I can tell you, the bricks talk about it. Bricks of this Lady Do College talk about it. Not tangible bricks, intangible bricks. The moment you come into any of the old students for that matter, if you ask, when they come into this campus, immediately they recall those days. So the intangible bricks of this institution talk about this leader, legendary leader. So she is in the pinnacle state. Right. Now, you must be familiar, you must have heard of these terms. VUCA, right? VUCA scenario, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. How many of you are familiar with? Okay. And today it is no longer VUCA. It's called BANI. BANI is brittle, anxious, nonlinear, incomprehensible. And whether it's VUCA world, whether it's Bansi world, everything Ms. Manuel was able to really fit in. And in BANI, what does it say? It demands that leaders build resilient organization, lower anxiety, embrace non-linearity, and act decisively amid incomprehensibility. Every phrase you can assimilate with her. Okay? She was a resilient leader. And the term resilient I always associate with the ball, right? When you bounce the ball, compared to the force that you've given, the ball will bounce back with extra energy. She was like that. Lots of such instances and experiences she had to face those days. But resilient leader. And lower anxiety, never I have seen, either as a student or as a colleague, she's being so stressed, so burdened with the work. I know, people like us, we have shown, I remember very well, when I was here in Lady Doak, I used to ask my student, I was literally teaching a student on how to write in English, simple English, a Tamil medium girl. When I told her, you could have seen me on the way and you could have come and spoken to me. Then she said, ma'am, you look so busy, ma'am. So you were really walking fast, so I thought ma'am is busy. So that was the picture we were all giving. But she was never like that. She was a person with lower anxiety, and I have written in my paper, she worked from the place of rest. So when the leader operates from the place of rest, it really energizes the crowd, the community, right? And embrace non-linearity, not straight way of thinking and doing things. Non-linearity, but still you reach the outcome. Then, decisively amid incomprehensibly. You cannot comprehend it, but still you decide properly. So that is what is required for the Bansi leader. So she was that kind of a leader decades back. And I've also given in the next slide, yes, new thinking, long-term vision. That's what is required now. Long-term vision. 10 years down the lane, what would happen? 15 years down the lane, what would happen? I think even now, Tansky says 25-75, right? Yes. 40-60, yeah? They have given, Tansky? 25-75, yes. But Lady Doak, when it started itself, it was like 40-60. Imagine, decades back, a very new thinking. And never we went back. And then Dr. Gerard brought it 50-50 and then 60-40. So today it is 60-40. And when Tansky brought it a few years back, they said, no, you can't have it like that. You know, at that time I was the Dean of Sciences, and Dr. Jayalakshmi and I, we accompanied the principal for that meeting. And the minister was talking, it has to be 25-75. You know what ma'am said? She said, do not compare an adult with an infant. Lady Doak is an adult in autonomy. So infants can have 25-75, but we are adults. We will do it 60-40, I think till today. Okay. And some of the programs even 100% internal, and some of the programs 75-25 lab courses. You're in the right direction, that's right. So that's what this leader started, and the rest of the leaders also made it to be like how the long-term vision has to be applied. Now, how the leadership, new leadership needs to be. We need to bridge the gap, because I know very well has lots of youngsters, Lady Doak has, and within 5 years, today Dr. Jessie was introducing 2 younger colleagues to me, and she said, I thought that's very thoughtful. She said, ma'am, you need to know them, because after a few years, you need to know the faculty in English department. These are the 2 youngsters. I thought she's so sensitive to that. That's good. So after a few years, when we come in, many of the youngsters, we may not know, right, Rupa? So we need to bridge the gap. So, but I tell you, that's the strength of an institution. I even said maths department has a strength, having lots of younger generation. But we should never try to reinforce the gap. The way we think, the way we communicate, that is why the generations differ. But we cannot be blaming. Even in the families I've seen, in my own families, extended families, some parents blaming the kids. They are not like how we were respecting our parents. No, generations differ. So they will also be different. So we need to really understand them. And also true leadership is not about who speaks loudest, but who we listen to and who we bring with us. And I remember Dr. Belinda Bennett was quoting this some time back. I'm sure she might have spoken to you too. She was part of the college cabinet at that time. When there was some student protest or something happened, and she was the JCAR secretary in charge of the hostels, and Ms. Manuel invited the student group, student cabinet members, listened to them. Not that because they said she changed, she could really think of what the best possible solution could be. So that is what the true leadership is required to be. And for this technical term, I have taken 2 research papers. One is this. You can look into this. It's available in web. You have a detailed study of it. You will know what exactly they are talking about. These are the 2 major questions. in this research study. One is main characteristic of each generation. What is it? Then, what leadership style is most appropriate for managing generational diversity in companies? That's what they did. It's their work, and that's why I've introduced here, I've written here companies. So we need to, but they have done a kind of a qualitative study, if you go through that, and they did some focus group discussions, and they've arrived at all their conclusions based on that. The second one that I looked into was this University of Gallen, Switzerland. And you know that earlier one was published in 24. That research study was undertaken by a team in Spain. Then this is Switzerland, University of Gallen, wherein the topic was on intergenerational leadership for innovation and sustainability. It is May 25, very recent. And in fact, there is a video, maybe later you can Google it and you can watch the video too. And it talks about how intergenerational leadership unlocks innovation and sustainability. So, if sustainability is the need, no other way forward. We need to become intergenerational leadership community. So what is intergenerational leadership? Lots of definitions were there, so I have put in here. Maybe this copy is with Preeti. I'm sure she can share it, whoever who wants a copy of it. I want to simply highlight that B definition. Intergenerational leadership refers to the meaningful involvement of multiple generations in decision making across all spheres of operation. See, NAC has a question, participative leadership. I don't know whether even now it is there. And we used to say, we have in boards of studies our students, we have in this body our academic council, we have our students, student cabinet, all that we say. But when we say meaningful involvement, the presence may be there. But in what way meaningfully we are really involving? That's what I started thinking on it. And it also says involved in decision making. Okay, the other definitions are there. For us to have a brief idea of this, it's not for us to assimilate which category I belong to, okay? We need to be aware of, these are all the generations. And the Gen Y, other name is given as millennials. Millennials, this is the approximate age group, right? Major age group, maybe plus or minus 1 or 2 will be there. And this study talks about the leadership time scale across this generation. This generation has which priority leadership? This generation has this, and they give it. Anyway, you look into it detail because the font is quite small, and that's why I had given that link also. You can get into that and look into it. Anyway, now, why these differences in the leadership styles? Not everybody is the same, right? The previous slide showed. Like each generation has its priority leadership. It's not the leadership, priority leadership. That's because baby boomers like us, beyond 60, born to the parents who soon after World War II. So that was the kind of the global scenario. So they would have been experienced the parenting accordingly, right? And Gen X, both parents working, millennials, boomers, and early Gen parents. Gen Z, internet generation, right? And the environment and the culture for each period differed, and that is why the characteristic is also different. All this we talk about today in 2025 and 2026. When I was preparing it, I was wondering, how come Ms. Manuel knew all this those days itself? Right? She knew this Illapa, students appadampa. That's how she used to tell us. Ma'am, this is what is happening. Illama, appadam. Okay? So that was the kind of leadership we need to look forward to, leadership system. Now, I've just given briefly for each age group what is the characteristics. Later you read through it. And this is about Gen X, then about millennials, then about Gen Z. This is nothing but the student group that you have in your classrooms. And some of you might be even Gen Z, okay? And this is also this is Gen Alpha. Not yet come to the college. Very soon they may come. So the younger generation of faculty members, be prepared for them. And some of you have kids of this age. right? Now, that same leadership style, what we saw earlier, this is given in a pictorial form. And this was another, yes. So as you see here, yes, this is an important data what they have reported. There's a gap between the demographies of private sector leadership, employees, and customers. As you see here, 70% of the general population is less than 50. But you see, only 5% seems to be in the governance age. Majority is outside. And also this one, the average age, okay, age of global workforce, average workforce in any organization, any company, wherever, 39.6. CEOs, top members, 56.5. But very recently, this is how it was. 2014 and 2023, the gap seemed to be increasing. Earlier it was 51.5, now it has become 55.5. And earlier it was the CFOs, 47.5, now it is 50.8. So, but the workforce age group seems to be reduced. So what does it show? So there is a huge generation gap that is now coming up, right, in the different sectors. So how are we going to address it? And this is another interesting data what they have projected. This is the average age of the people in governance, top leadership. And even in India, you see, it's 64.1. But 70% of the workforce, we know how it is. So how much more we need to be relevant? And this is something interesting. The first question you see, does intergenerational collaboration enhance leadership enhancement? This is a question that has been raised. And 83% of leaders of tomorrow, this is another term that I came across, LOT, leaders of tomorrow. Leaders of tomorrow, only 83% said yes. But the senior executive said 92% we want. Okay, so we are convinced. But how to incorporate it? That's the question. So this is, maybe later also you can read through it. And this is a very beautiful comparison. Since the letter is small, I have retyped it. Okay, later you can read through it. This is about each generation and the priority leadership and technological characteristic. What is the technological characteristic of each generation? What is the technology gap in each generation? And then comes, therefore, each generation with whom I need to partner with. Okay? So that is intergenerational. None of them can function by themselves. We need to partner with. And very recently, there is another term that's coming up. That's called neuro-leadership. That's about organizational happiness. Neuro-leadership. And also, in the modern leadership, never accepting a mistake for punishments. This is again, I think before Ms. Manuel passed away 2 years before, she gave an address in MCC. I was watching it online at that time. She was talking about how the institutional leaders were always people of second chance. When people commit mistakes, okay, punishment is not the end result, okay, end treatment mode. It's always a second chance. And I would say it is a divine quality. And that's what God does. If God really punishes for every work of ours, where will we go? That's what these leaders and our legendary leader, Ms. Manuel, practiced too. And that's what we could observe when we were her colleagues. Like when students make mistakes, when it comes, she will not say, this is the punishment. No, no, no. She will say how, see, actually if you take into consideration, if you punish it, the other end, they will become all the more aggressive. In no way there's going to be a change of heart that's happening. So it's going to be a repetitive behavior. So ultimate, what we want to achieve is the behavior needs to change. So punishment is not the mode. That's what she did, right? So diversity management is on participative work. As I mentioned earlier, it's not participation in terms of presence, it's participation in terms of decision making too. And encouraging the professionals to carry out the work with autonomy, flexibility, and self-direction. Autonomy, when it is combined with self-direction, it goes with responsibility. Never people will misuse autonomy. Quite often, some of us, I'm talking about myself too. When we give autonomy to the next generation, we think that they may misuse the autonomy, not necessarily be. So we make the situation, the culture in such a way they acquire the responsibility and thereby they go in self-direction, unlocks innovation and sustainability. Again, untapped potential could be used. I can vouch you many of our colleagues who worked with Ms. Manuel. I can say many have expressed, I never thought I had this potential in my life. But Ms. Manuel found out that she identified it and gave me a responsibility, and that made me to realize, oh, I'm capable of doing. So unlocking the potential in everyone's life, the team that's working with us. Then 5, decision-making dynamics, empathy. And the term empathy, whenever I look at the term, this is the instance that come to my mind. I'm sure you must have heard about me sharing it in different occasions. Even in Ms. Manuel's funeral service, I mentioned about it. That was the time when I was the staff association secretary. No computers, no emails those days. So the Department of Chemistry had an attender called Selvaraj, not an old man, an youngster only, must be in his 40s. He passed away. So we had to inform the principal. The classes may have to be suspended after the condolence meeting. So I went to Ms. Manuel's house, ma'am, this is what happened. So she had to write the notice to be displayed on the faculty notice board and in the student notice board. It was in the morning before the office started, workers came in. She took the letter back and she started writing. I was sitting by her side, tears fell down. She tore off that paper. Again she wrote, again tears fell down. She tore off the paper. Only the 3rd paper she could write that message and then gave it to me. I came and displayed it. It's quite vivid before my eyes. So a heart of a leader which bleeds for the family. Because he was only breadwinner of the family. So the family has lost the breadwinner. What will happen to that family? So that was the kind of the empathy, getting into the shoes of the other person. Sympathy is very easy. Okay, you sympathize. But empathy is something we need to develop as parents, as teachers, as administrators for the other generations. So how are we really empathizing with them? And empathy with employees and customers, and strategizing long-term time scales. I had a classmate, she was my batchmate. She was from that open quota category, so when she came in and applied for commerce, she didn't get it. Ms. Manuel called her, I believe. She told me once. Ms. Manuel called her, I believe, and she gave her chemistry. But she completed chemistry and later became a banker, became the bank manager, and retired. And she told me, Mercy, that day Ms. Manuel realized I need not go into that particular subject only to become the banker. Lady Rock was like that. The learning skills, okay? This is what is called liberal art education. Truly the liberal art education was offered to the students. So I did chemistry major, but the system had an option. You can choose some of the subjects from the other departments too. And she did so well as a bank manager. So she was able to really see what could be the long-term and end result of this person. When I always think about it, I think of the model of Jesus Christ. Peter was a fisherman, but he could see he can become the foundation for the churches later. So what these people would become later. So that's what we need to really look at it, and also overcoming the success trap. Today, it's that, right? Like prestige, popularity, position, and recognition, all that. It's a trap that's really choking us. Institutions like ours, we never bothered about it, but we live in a situation like that. I'm sure those days also it was like that. Ms. Manuel never gave room for that. I have a slide for success later, I can project it, and introduce the creative function of problem solving. But she made sure there are adequate internal checks. Even in autonomy, when I came in 80s, early 80s, she said how the autonomy is given to the faculty, but still how you have various internal checks so that the quality is sustained and enhanced. Nowhere you compromise on the academic excellence. So internal checks. So that's what she was able to do it. Yes. So this is the 2 slides which I came across for success, sowing the seeds that benefit others. That was her focus, always. And whenever she used to send faculty members for the different workshops, like those days, IHE used to conduct a list of workshops during summer. And like 4 or 5 workshops, she will choose this person for this person for this person. She could identify people like that. So lots of such opportunities she could give and sow the seed. I remember there was a program, 10-day counseling program. I never wanted to go. Summer, okay? I never wanted to go. But Ms. Manuel said, Mercy, you're going. That was Emma Gonzalez's program. And those days we had the practice, when faculty members are deputed from the college, when we come back, in the faculty meeting, we are supposed to share our learning. That was an internal mechanism, internal check. Because when you share it before a crowd, you become more accountable. Because next day, Rupa may call me, Akka, you shared like that, did you do that? Yes. So that is what, see, those days we never realized. Now I realize it. It's an internal check, whatever that I learned. That is why sometimes we have sharing of our experiences with others, even in close communities, okay? So like that. But when I came back, I very well remember, it was room number 10, faculty meeting, I shared how, because of Ms. Manuel's gentle persuasion, I had to go. But I confessed, I became a different wife, I became a different mother. Of course, different teacher. I never wanted to give up my summer holidays because I wanted to be with the family. She knew what I needed. And there was a complete paradigm shift in my life, how things need to be really looked at, the people, the situations. So she was able to really sow the seeds accordingly to the people. And the next slide, it's the right place for others, not for herself. A successful person finds the right place for himself, but a successful leader finds the right place for others. I remember how much she enjoyed when some of her students and her colleagues were really able to get some achievements and positions also. She really celebrated it. So that was more like a mother-child relationship. And for me, she was more like a mother principal. I always say her like that because she was just 1 year junior to my mother at Lady Doe College. So everything that she spoke, it was like how it comes from our parents. So that is how she cherished the life of others. And the ultimate outcome, the planet, the people, the profit. What is the profit? Not in terms of money, in terms of innovation. Lady Doak was able to do lots of innovation because of this kind of intergenerational leader who developed intergenerational leadership in the system. And it is possible only then sustainable development goals we talked about in different places by 2030. This is the mode. This is the mode it had to be. All this literature says, it's not that I'm saying, literature says. And the fit leadership for 21st century, not just inclusion, the different generations for innovation and sustainability, but it always results in a creative friction. I was talking to a student friend who is doing her PhD in management and also leadership in organizations. When I was talking about this, because I'm not currently in the field in an organization as such, So I wanted to really authenticate it, whether what I am doing is right or not. So I discussed with her. And she said, ma'am, there could always be a kind of a possibility that the younger generation, they may take things so easily and they want to really take it up with them and so on. And she also told me, like how she was part of the student cabinet at Lady Doak, I believe. She said, in our cabinet, students used to have a discussion, whether it's a kind of a disco dance or a debate. But Lady Doak was so much academically oriented, finally we were able to decide on debate. So always there is a tension, okay, in inclusive decision making. Tension, even in family, husband and wife, parents and children, you decide together, there is a friction. There is a friction with the current reality and future, but we need to really work on that, and we need to really move forward how it could be used for innovation. And finally, a few thoughts from that paper. How are we then going to approach it, appropriate it, okay? Either at family or in a classroom or in a department or in an organization. The first one is consultation with mutual learning, then co-leadership and shared decision making, then embedding intergenerational leadership across the organization. And what is consultation? So consultation is systematically consulting. As I mentioned earlier, it's not for the sake of just getting the idea. Like later I also have a picture wherein both the brains equally contribute and then you come to a consensus. It's not very easy. It's not very easy. You may have to spend time, energy, my ego has to be broken. That's what is happening even in family, right? When you want to really take some decisions in consultation with your kids, you sit and talk, they fight, okay, creative tensions, but then you convince. Sometimes you may have to really break down your ego, and then you come to a consensus, and that will always lead to innovation. And this is what, for that they are talking about two things. One is reverse mentoring and cross-generational mentorship. And this is what a banker has reported. Reverse mentoring expanded the capabilities of senior leadership, and it motivated junior talents to set up and take a role in drafting organization for the future. Reflection and honest feedback can only bring a lot to the entire organization. So, because everybody is standing for the organization, that's what Ms. Manuel did. Whether you say or I say or she say or whoever says it, it is for the organization. So when the organization becomes the priority, we jointly do it and you move ahead. And I have a picture on tactics for working with cross-generational teams. Later you can go through the steps. I'm sure some of you have kids cross-generational at home. And of course, our students, our departments. So how are we going to adopt it? And similarly, mentoring and reverse mentoring. Mentoring always talks about senior to junior. But Ms. Manuel never used to use the term even senior junior. I remember that very well. When we came in as the fresh faculty members, the poster used to say, junior faculty workshop. Ms. Manuel and Mrs. Abraham came in and they said, what is this? Lady Doak never used to have junior fresh recruits workshop. Because in the system, we had this terminology senior, junior embedded in it. Embedded in it. So we are not able to think away from that. So unless we take it, I think this is where Lady Doak can really be the pioneers to the rest of the institutions. How Ms. Manuel was a pioneer in Lady Doak, okay? Reverse mentoring. And then co-leadership. Co-leadership. See, this is the picture. Both the brains equally contribute and then you come to a consensus. Not for the sake of just listening to the person or getting the tip from the next generation. That led me to another picture of co-leadership. So I'm sure you'll agree with me. The picture that represents is the one on the right. Because our culture, that's how it has been everywhere, everywhere. So passing on the beacon to the next person. But co-leadership, it has to start from the family. When it starts from the family, the generation will be built up in that way. And of course, to your classrooms too. So this is co-leadership. Now, embedding intergenerational leadership, like what are the practical tips? But co-leadership, there is a caution that is given here. We may think, how can such a junior person can be part of the governance group? That is why they are also giving you this again in the literature. They can be part of your governance team, but make them as a non-voting member. But listen to all their ideas, innovations, decision-making directions, but not necessarily give them the voting right. Finally, because they are part of the team, you will try to convince the person too. And this is what I came across, an article on which talks about Voice of the Tomorrow, Voice of the Leaders of Tomorrow report. It says these are the different barriers. You know, today, how does the Gen Z and Gen Alpha, still it hasn't come, the way they communicate your WhatsApp, the way they communicate is entirely different. You, we, for, they put for. Sometimes I really find it difficult to read, again and again I keep reading. So that was a different communication style. But decades before Ms. Manuel understood what's that different communication style. Conflicting work values. We will say this is the value, okay, I embrace. But this generation doesn't have the value. Sometimes it looks conflicting. But the earlier table, please read through it, there are similarities between the generations. How you use that so as to take the group with you. That is the challenge for us. Then cultural expectations. Cultural expectation mean what? I was, in fact, talking to a person who is head of an organization. When he was talking to me about how the culture really squeezes into its mold, there's a program, I believe. Finally, there was vote of thanks. When the vote of thanks was done, the person started from 1, 2, 3, none of them were there. Okay? But this is in our culture. If the person doesn't do the vote of thanks like that, we will say, how come she or he, avoided it? That's wrong. So that culture has to be changed. The reason is, a different kind of a hierarchy is there in our mind, which I can 100% say, I'm sure Rupa will also agree with me, Ms. Manuel never had this hierarchical kind of a thing. That doesn't mean you lose your respect. Respect is there, right? Because respecting not necessarily junior alone needs to give to the senior. Younger generation only to the senior generation. Everybody, because everyone is created in the image of God. That is why the way she treated the first year student, the way she treated even the fresh recruit, the way she treated the non-teaching staff, everyone, I could see that she respected people. She valued people, right? So that is the reason, that is the thing that we need to really develop. So how can that be developed? I strongly believe this is the mode. And I was so happy when Preeti did her prayer also, she used that, and Dr. Joyce also used that servant leadership and service. This is Miss Manuel, right? Traditional leadership, leader at the top, employees, customers are our students, or the public, wherever we are catering to. But in the servant leadership, it's completely changed. So thanks Preeti and Joyce for reinforcing this aspect of servant leadership. And what do the servant leadership do? What do they do? They make the others, the customers at the top. They are at the bottom. And there are other pictures also, which I am not bringing it. You get into Google, you will see. It used to say at the top, it is always responsible. At the bottom, it is always responsive. So in this, the first pyramid, the usual pyramid is called a visionary role. Leader at the top, leader has a vision, okay, and pass it on. Responsible. And the group really gets the response. But the servant leadership is, leader comes down, okay? And the responsibility goes to the hands of the community, the followers. And the leader is at the bottom and making these people to become responsible. It's not easy. It's not easy. Only this can only break away the hierarchical system, what the community has set in, what the culture has set in our generations. So my request is, can LDC be the pioneer in this? Because we follow the footsteps of such legendary leaders. We say we stand on the giant shoulders of such leaders who have walked before us. This is exactly walking in their footprints. They walked before us how this kind of a intergenerational leadership has to be incorporated. Those decades back, nobody talked about it, no research group talked about it, but it was lived in this community by such leaders. So, Lady Doak, you be the pioneers this century, 21st century, where everywhere the leadership is very differently being perceived. So what is exactly needed? Because again and again we said, this can only lead to innovation, this can only lead to sustainability. So if we want sustainability, of course UGC says Innovation Council, all that, and we try to incorporate sustainability in all our curriculum and everything. As an organization, there has to be sustainability. Okay, then we have placed, this leader who had gone ahead of us with this kind of a model, and we have also seen how the literature talks about it evidently these days. So that's my prayer, that's my wish. This is the best way, I would say, to say thank you to Miss Manuel. Ma'am, we are here to follow your footsteps. How you made this institution to be very different, to be the pioneering institution in the whole of the nation, thinking it differently. So thank you so much for your patient listening. Thank you too.
Friends, if you have any questions or share anything with ma'am, you can open for discussion.
We can always talk later too if it goes beyond the time limit. I think I've taken so much time, Preeti? Okay. If you come, I will come. Otherwise, I won't.
Thank you, ma'am, for that lovely sharing. I just wanted to tell ma'am about this. Like, it is true, the generations are very different and all of that. But I just wanted to ask you, what is it like, how do we deal with the selfishness that is existing in the present day culture? I am fine. I am here for the 16 hours that I work. I'm going home. You have no right to ask me. That is a kind of attitude, because recently, since they're all teachers, I thought I can share. Recently, we got a request, as you know, from the collectorate regarding the election. So especially when we gave the names, I thought of like the last 15 years experience. So others would have gone already, so we will leave them out, and we sent. But they said, no, the aided staff are responsible for this. So they started asking only for the aided. Then I left out a few on the top, and I sent. You won't believe, ma'am, last week we got a note from the collectorate saying there are 94 who are drawing aided salary. Only 68 have given. They have checked from the IFHRMS, and they asked. So when I asked the others also to give, they came up with so many excuses. So it was really tough for me to explain to them, because they were saying, I've got sugar, I'm diabetic. I asked her, if you're a diabetic, if you're able to come to class, then you're able to go for the election also. Don't you think the government will ask this question to us? So the ideas are very different. Mike to ma'am. The ideas, yes ma'am, the ideas are very different. Though they were not very aggressive in their responses, I think the very thought has to be changed, at least after coming to Lady Doak College. Because you were talking about institutional culture, I have noted it down. So that culture, I think we need to follow, and probably we don't have role models here. There also, the seniors are lacking it. So I think we need to learn a lot, and we have to give a lot to the other generation so that when they come up later, there will be sustenance of these culture and ethos with them. Thank you, ma'am.
I can understand her heart, right? Pulls and pushes from the management on one side, from the government on the other side. So I can really empathize her situation, what to do, right? It is difficult. And this is actually invariably everywhere I keep hearing the next generation is very selfish. It's like that. I mean, it's not the, I mean, I should not give you do this, do that, because I'm out of the picture, right? For me, things are different. But you are facing the reality. The only suggestion I can give is it involves a lot of time, energy, individually calling the people individually. Okay, because again, Ms. Manuel has taught me this. Appreciate publicly, admonish privately. But that involves, because lot of work she has. Okay, 24/7 almost it's like that. In which how to individually talk to the faculty members, it is difficult. I think this is where a team which stands with her need to help. Okay, and I tell you, going for election is mandatory as a citizen of India. And I have gone as a principal. I was a principal, but still I went. And there was no place for toilet, nothing to eat. But God's providence, some of your students' parents used to come for voting, and they used to bring all snacks, drinks, everything. But you know, education has been given to us from this country, so we need to give back. If we don't give, who else can give? I think this as a team, not only she doing it because her hands are full, so the others, we can also try to really inspire others. Hey, I think this is where Lady Doak will be a different culture. Not it's only the headache of the principal, because she has lots of other headaches. If this also comes on her, how can she really think for the future or development of the college? I think a team may have to really work together. Individually, people need to be talked to, and not just for the sake of the money that we get. No, that's not the way we compare, I believe. And I tell you, we are all very happy because we are Lady Doak faculty members. Okay, when we go for any programs, we stand an edge over the others. I have seen it in different colleges. So in that case, much is given to us, much is expected from us. So I think not just the principal alone can do all these things, because she has to write communications, and now she's answerable to lots of statutory bodies. So a team and the heads, before it passes through the head of the department, there itself filtering could have been done. I'm sorry if I don't know anything about it, I'm just talking. This is how I visualize. Okay, only now I hear from Beulah that this is the challenge that she is facing.
Just one or two, ma'am. Sadly, that was the head of the department who said that.
Oh. And you know, sugar, BP, all this are not called, yes, not called disease, it's a disorder. We need to live with it. We need to live with it. Okay, nothing wrong in it. We have to accordingly, we are the best doctors for our body. So what I need to eat, what I need to do as exercise, accordingly I do it, sleep, right? So I will be the best person. I cannot show it as a reason against my responsibility in the college. No, that was not what was taught to us by Miss Manuel. No. Even my teachers, senior teachers, none of them. I know some of them had tough time with wheezing. But with the tablets, they used to come to the lab. Even we ourselves have used to think, "Yo, ma'am, ippudi vandirukangale, ivlo kashtapadrangale, leave edukka kudada." But their institutional loyalty was far high, because that's what they have imbibed from the leader. Right? Never it has been their sickness or ailment has been a reason for saying no to any of the responsibility that is entrusted to them. And I'm sure if you go for election duty, you will have a different perception of the country, what my country needs. I was in a school in Arasaredi. When I came back, I was telling my husband, இப்படியெல்லாம் schools மதுரையில் இருக்குதே, how do the teachers and the students study? Completely your heart is changed. So we live in another elite situation. We don't look into the reality. So it's my request. நீங்கள் என்ன மேம் வந்து இப்படி பேசுகிறாங்கன்னு சொன்னாலும் பரவாயில்ல. It's my request. I think if election duty comes in, you should volunteer and take it. Unless there is an emergency at home. Somebody is very sick, somebody needs to be hospitalized, someone you need to really take care, that's okay. Instances have happened like that. People have signed, given, last minute they could not go. Somebody passed away at home. That is not in our hands. But what is my response? See, ultimately, it's not for the principal's sake or for the government's sake you work before God. I always believe an audience of one. There is only one audience who is watching me, not hundreds or thousands. So before that one person, how I do, that's all matters. Okay? So this is my request. Please do not say no for such things. And even in that, Lady Doc can be a model. Collector should say, Lady Doc, ellarum yes soltangale. That is where you are a pioneer, pa. Right? Yes. And only then you can say, you and me, we follow the footprints of Miss Manuel. Right? Our work culture is different. You enjoy doing it. Never with a grudging mode. And you will meet people from different schools and different offices and the kind of the election classes that go on. It's a fun. It's a fun. And for once you realize you don't know anything. Okay? I was a presiding officer, I was asking the other polling officers, இது எப்படி பண்ணணும் சார், அது எப்படி பண்ணணும் சார், சொல்லி கொடுங்க. You learn from each other. Basically we are Indians. Okay? So that comradeship, everything, collegiality, everything you are able to really gain through such experience. Don't confine yourself within the walls of Lady Doc. No. We need to serve. Okay? Thank you. I hope I have spoken too much.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone who would like to ask any question or share anything, your feedback with ma'am?
Intergenerational leadership is a very challenging one where we want. And now the college is at that transition phase. In another 5 years, we may legally, all the seniors will leave. And what are the steps as a college community need to be taken for promoting this ownership? Because you all seen and you have taken it up. But now it's a challenge for us, as far I understood. And how to do that, what are all the methods we can actually follow to promote that?
Thank you, Vidya. I think your question itself had an answer. Right? You all said that you saw that and you followed it. So we need to see. Right? I think at different levels it can be spoken and it has to be demonstrated, right? And only when my talk and my life, or what I say is lip service and life service, when there is a congruency, it is a lesson. It is a lesson, or it will have an impact on the others. That's what Archimedes used to say, I believe. I think, I don't remember who it was. Let my inside and outside be the same. What I speak, my lip service and my life service, need to be the same. And that's what we have seen, and that's what we keep talking now. And that's what need to be seen by the other generations too. And also wherever it's possible, we can really try to talk to the generation how the history is. See, why at home, why is it that the kids like the grandchildren like grandparents? There are lots of other factors because they are not very strict, but still they tell them lots of stories about the old days. Ammachi eppadi irundanga, Tata eppadi irundanga, okay? But sometimes even now, today these kids also, I mean only to some level they listen, beyond which alam poitu vanga engalukku vendam, okay? That's also happening. So we need to keep really demonstrating it and talking about it, even in small groups, even at the department meeting or in the faculty meetings. I remember very well in the faculty meetings, definitely something on autonomy, something on teacher accountability. Like that's what I used to really like in those, university news. Yes, I was a regular person who visits Nachiyar, and Nachiyar used to supply me every time when it comes. Even to the office, when the post comes, I will look into the article. If there are any articles which I think will be good, I will say, Nachiyar, please send it to me after you make an entry. She will send it to me back. And I used to take a photocopy of it and I read through it because I wanted to learn, and then I start sharing it. So, like it has to be, and I strongly believe it has to be a kind of a relational passing on the culture. It's not just holding the mic and talking alone. I live and I relate. That again I will quote from the Bible. That's what Jesus did with the disciples. Relational disciple making he did. He related. They lived with him, they saw him. And Miss Manuel, we have seen her. Many of us have gone to her place, to her home, and we used to sit. I was the staff secretary. For the minutes I used to go, she used to take me nadandu kootit poiruvaanga. She used to take her lunch. Masi, you want it? No ma'am, I finished. Just 2 spoons of rice, some vegetables, very simple food, and she'll be talking lots of things. She'll be talking. All those are good learning because minutes of the meeting will be there with her. After she sees only, it will be passed, it will be circulated. So such learnings, it's a relational learning. I think maybe that can be, I know you're very busy, demands are too many, because not only every college faculty member these days, they talk about university is asking one, government is asking one, NAC is asking one, and Tansky is asking one. What can we do, ma'am? So much of documentation work, so much of report work, right? So maybe a small group can be constituted. This is my suggestion. I don't know, you can think about it. Having different age groups, somebody who is open and creative. I know there is so much potential in the younger generation. And these are all the challenges that we face. Place before the committee, place before the team. Let them come out with some creative problem solving answers. And then at different levels you talk about it, you think about it. How you can even take this, how can we imbibe the institutional culture in the long run? This can be one topic. So take people from different age group, from different disciplines. Actually, when I was preparing it, I used to think like Miss Manuel used to make committees. Lady Doak is the best place, I tell you, for such learnings. She used to make like one humanities, one sciences, everywhere. When I was preparing it, I was thinking maybe it's time for us, one Gen Z, one Gen X, millennial, maybe that has to be formed. Okay? And the group could be oriented in such a way. And that this can also be a mixture of subjects. We learn lot of experiences, lot of learning when we work in committees like that. We also add NTS. So like that, place this as a question. And this is one question. Like that you may have lots. So evolve a kind of a creative idea. Model 1, Model 2, Model 3, then place it before the administrative group. Administrative group can also think and they can sit with you and discuss and then come out with a beautiful picture. But everyone has to own it. And when you involve them in decision making, only then people will own. Only then people will own. I can tell you from my life. We used to have rubrics for PG seminar, right? Even now, right? That's good. This is Lady Doak's best practice. In my PG class, only 12 or 13 students used to be there. No PG chemistry. So what I used to do, I make rubrics, so many copies, give it to everyone. So if one person is doing, everyone has to evaluate. Okay, I used to think, a friend in a kuda mark potruvangalonu. You know what happened? Lots of them were, one copy I had. Lots of them were very close with me, with my scores. Maybe +1, -1, only that. Maximum 2 marks, not beyond that. That means what? When you give them the responsibility, they are very cautious. Oh, I am good. And another big learning is, she is now scoring for her friend, for her classmate. So when she goes to the friend, how my classmates will score for me, accordingly she will present it. So give them that responsibility and make them responsible. So involve them. Otherwise, only teacher gives, she won't know why teacher gives that, though the rubrics is there. When she is involved, she starts owning it. So my mantra is, owning can come only with involvement. Without involvement, owning, I don't think people will have. Even at home, right? You ask your daughter to make omelette. Daughter will look into Google, will look into YouTube, will call up her friend, and she will be very creative. Okay, the way that you never thought she could have done it. So this is one way, I mean a simple way. Maybe you are very intelligent people, next generation, you can think what all the way by which it could be solved. Okay, Vidya, thank you.
Else to ask your question? Thank you, ma'am, for the deeply enriching and thought-provoking lecture. Your perspectives on leadership quality of Miss Manuel took us back to her period and made us vividly visualize Miss Manuel's extraordinary leadership traits and the way she took inclusive decisions. What a visionary leader was she. Your explanation on mentoring, reverse mentoring, and co-leadership and servant leadership, along with its practical implication, was truly insightful. We are sure that seeds she has sown will be nurtured by us and her legacy will be carried forward. I now request Dr. Rupa Ravikumar to share few of her reminiscences of Miss Manuel.
Take 2 minutes. I'm really happy to have to attend this lecture, especially when it has been chaired by Dr. Mercy Pushpalata. I've been personally on this auspicious day where we celebrate Miss Manuel and for all that she's done for Lady Doak College. I've been personally a student, being taught by her for 3 years. And I'd like to just ask you all just one question from the lecture what Mercy Pushpalata today has spoken. When Miss Manuel came into Lady Doak College, Miss Katie Wilcox knew who she would become. Every year, thousands of students are coming into our classroom. Do you as teachers know who they will become? And I think if we take that question back, I'm sure our whole college will be different. How much we put in, all our inputs, all these concepts that we know will make us realize who we are. So God bless you, I'm sure. I'm also proud to be a Dokian, ma'am. And I'm sure all of you will take back this with you. God bless. And when I came into Lady Doak College, I must tell you, I came in here as a married student with a 5-year-old kid. My kid was kept in the creche and on Saturdays, and she knew who I had become. And today I stand here as a retired professor of Lady Doak College, and all the things that I've gained, I'm so proud to be a Dokian. So I'm sure all of you will take this back. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. we are also proud, we are always proud, we'll always be proud of being a Dokian. Thank you, ma'am, for that food for thought after this session. As we gently move towards the conclusion of this meaningful academic event, it is time to acknowledge the many hands and hearts that made this program possible. I now invite Ms. Karthika, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Sciences, to propose the vote of thanks.
So, good afternoon, all. First and foremost, I thank God Almighty for blessing us with this wonderful opportunity to gather, learn, and grow together through this meaningful lecture on promoting intergenerational leadership. I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Beulah Jayashree, our respected principal and secretary, for her continuous encouragement and support. My sincere thanks to our esteemed resource person, Dr. Mercy Pushpalata, former principal and a proud Dokian, for such an insightful and enriching session. Your lecture beautifully helped us reliving the memories and leadership journey of Ms. Manuel. Thank you for sharing her leadership approach, for helping us understand the technological gap across generations, and for presenting leadership perspectives supported by strong research evidences, ma'am. Your words were not only informative but also deeply inspiring, ma'am. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Dr. Joyce Georgina John, Head and Assistant Professor, Department of Social Sciences, for organizing and coordinating this valuable lecture, ma'am. My warm thanks to all the faculty members for your active participation and presence. Finally, my heartfelt appreciation goes to the organizing secretary for the meticulous planning and the smooth conduction of today's event. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Karthika, for expressing our collective gratitude so eloquently. Now let us all rise up for National Anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
As we conclude the lecture, let us carry forward not just the ideas discussed today, but the values that Ms. Manuel embodied: academic commitment, compassionate leadership, and unwavering dedication to institutional growth. May her legacy continue to inspire our teaching, our leadership, and our service to higher education. Thank you all for your gracious presence. Wishing you a reflective and enriching day ahead. Kindly fill the feedback form shared with you. I now request all the participants to come forward for a group photo.